Hey, hello everyone. Just a quick video on installing the grill mesh cover on your Grand Highlander in less than $20. Probably it's gonna take 1 hour to 2 hours based on your skill set. So once we install the grill mesh cover, this is what you're gonna see at the end. You can see some zip ties, but honestly, if you're standing a couple of feet away from the car, you can't even notice there are zip ties because I'm using the black colored zip ties just to match the grill color. Also, I want to thank a lot of contributors on Facebook who provided certain instructions, but I thought there was no video that was kind of explaining all the steps. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes to record it. Um, so what we're gonna need is basically a mesh that we can purchase from Amazon. So here, this is a 40 inches by 13 inches car grill mesh sheet that is purchased from Amazon for around $15. So this is of 13 inches in height, which we're gonna cut in two parts that we can see later. I have used zip ties. In my case, I used 4 inches zip ties, but honestly, I felt it was a little difficult to work with the 4 inches zip ties. So I would recommend go for at least 6 inches. That can help you to complete the job faster. Okay, let's look at the first step, which is cutting this mesh into two parts. So what you can do is basically cut it in a 5.5 inches height. The remaining part will be 7.5 inches in height. So we do the cut all the way through the width. So that is 5.5 inches by 40 inches, 7.5 inches by 40 inches. So once we do those two cuts, we're gonna use the 7.5 inches part to install on the top portion. So let's look at those steps. So this one, I would say, in terms of difficulty, it is very easy to easy. So all you have to do is remove these 7 push pins clips using a flathead screwdriver, that what I have shown here on the left hand side. So let's look a quick video around that, and then we can slowly insert the mesh that is cut 7.5 inches tall and around 40 inches wide inside. Um, if this is going to be a slightly care, careful step that you or the care you have to take, because if you're trying to lower the mesh, there is a risk that you can accidentally damage your radiator, which is what you don't want to use. So you have a couple of options. You have to use extreme caution, or you can actually cut this in a 20 inches width as a two parts and lower both the parts. That would reduce your risk, and then basically push them into the right place, and then use zip ties to tie those. So let's look at this one. So remove these push pins. 4, 5, 6, 7. Take those out. Open the panel up. So technically, we have some gap here that we can use to put the mesh in. So I will do that. Okay, let's look at one more video. So basically, if you see here, I have lowered the mesh and I'm trying to get it into the place. And here, if you see, it has, I guess it is a camera with the wire coming in. So what I am doing is basically trying to make sure that I'm using a regular scissor to cut an opening around the camera to make sure that the mesh is not going to basically touch the camera. So I have done that. Uh, Initially, I was looking to cut it like a small opening, but then later I made sure that I'm actually cutting it around um, that device to make sure that no part of the mesh is going to touch it and cause any accidental damage in future. So be careful. I think cutting is pretty easy with a regular scissor for this mesh. I did it, as you can see here, basically widened the gap a little bit more than what I had here, but it was easy to cut using a scissor. Then I'm using zip ties to basically put it back into place and making sure that the mesh is properly secured. So let's move back to the presentation. So once you install the mesh, I would say I have installed around 15 to 20 zip ties on this portion alone. That not only helped me to make sure that the mesh is secure, securely in place, but also made sure that it is not going to move easily. Also, it is going to cover and be relatively more straightened and directly attached to this particular front grill. Um, so once you do that, basically you have to then put back your cover. So if you see here, basically I have pushed the pins back in, and we are done with the half of the installation. This was still, so now we have to work on the bottom portion. So I would say this definitely has a bit more difficulty than the top portion. The main reason is we have to remove this plastic cover that you can see here. So I use 10 mm ratchet to do that. There are around, I would say, 16 plus 3, 19 screws slash nuts to remove, and around 3 to 4 push pins. So that you can see on the next picture here. So this is the panel I removed, and after removal, I actually took some opportunity to clean it, wipe it. So I have done that. So these are all the screws that you can see I have removed using 10 mm set. Once you do that, it is gonna create an opening between, like, this is the front bumper's bottom portion, and this is where in the bottom we have removed the cover, and you can see there is a small opening here. There is some foam kind of part also that is inside that can be easily bent to pass in the mesh there. But before sending in the mesh, what I have done is I was a little bit afraid that I might cause some paint damage to this metal part that is right behind there. So to avoid that, what I have done is first what I have done is used a cardboard to pass it through, and then pass a mesh through it, above it. So you can see here I have, from the bottom side, I have slided in the cardboard, and in front of that I was able to push the mesh in. If you see here in this picture, you can see that, like, on the bottom side I'm pushing the mesh up, through this small opening here. On this picture, probably it gives you an idea how the cardboard is actually helping. I think that has definitely allowed me to prevent some scratches on the back portion. So once the mesh is in place, again I'm going to use zip ties to basically attach it to the front grill. On the bottom side, like on the top side, you had a opportunity to use one of your hand from inside to send the other end of the pushed this zip ties out, so that you can tie those properly. But that luxury was not there on the bottom side. So what I have done, I kind of um, used, I think this, we had a one straw cleaner, so it has this kind of loop at the end. It was in circle, so I bent it a little bit so that it can go through the mesh. So I will push the zip tie from one side, use this particular tool. Once the zip tie goes through it on the other side, I will push it out, so that way I'm able to pull the other end of the zip tie out. I hope you will be able to do it with some trials, and that kind of makes the job a little bit easier. And once the mesh is in place, you're gonna basically reinstall this bottom plastic cover that you have covered as well. And at this point, I would say this is a complete success, because you got everything back in place and the mesh is in place. So I feel a little bit more safer for my upcoming 5,000-mile trip. So just wanted to share this with you guys. Hope it helps. Thank you.